Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IS English. In our today's video, we'll try to understand why people of Ladakh for a long period of time have been demanding 6th schedule status. Now, the reason why we are covering this topic because last week the central government revoked the detention of a popular Ladakhi activist, Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, who had been detained under the National Security Act for nearly 6 months after the protest that happened in the Union Territory of Ladakh. Now, I need to understand for a long period of time, people of Ladakh, including Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, have been very vocal in demanding for a separate statehood status and protection under the 6th schedule for the Union Territory of Ladakh. And this situation actually aggravated in the month of September, where there were violent protests going on in Ladakh, and to control these protests, the administration had to resort to firing, in which 4 people were killed and many people were injured. So the government felt that Mr. Wangchuk actually had instigated these protests, and that is why he was detained. But now, after nearly 6 months, he has been let go. So in this regard, let us first understand why are people of Ladakh in the first place actually protesting against something. So what is this something? This something is basically demand for a special status, that is either you grant us a statehood or at least provide us the recognition under the 6th schedule areas. Okay, so we'll try to understand the reasons for protest, what will actually Ladakh gain if it gets 6th schedule status, and what may be the problems that the union government might have as to why it is delaying giving of this 6th schedule status. So that is what we'll cover today. Now, the notes which I will be using in our today's session, you should download them because they are very important from your exams perspective. For that, you can go to a Telegram channel called as ATS Live, and while you're at it, do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. Okay, so let us first try to understand what actually led to the protest in the Union Territory of Ladakh. And to understand this, we have to go back in a time a bit. This actually started in 2019. What happened in 2019? The Union government actually abrogated Article 370 of the Constitution, which gave special status to then erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. So after Article 370 was abrogated, the then erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir was segregated into 2 separate union territories. First union territory was Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which had a legislature, and second became the Union Territory of Ladakh, which did not have a legislature. Now, I need to understand, back when Ladakh was a part of Jammu and Kashmir, the people of Ladakh were politically represented by 4 MLAs in the State Legislative Assembly of Kashmir. So they were politically represented. But after this abrogation of Article 370 and subsequent bifurcation of the state into 2 union territories, the control of administration from political class went entirely into the hands of bureaucrat. Now, what happened that earlier people of Ladakh had grievances with respect to the union then state of Jammu and Kashmir, because they felt that their interests were not adequately taken care of by then Jammu and Kashmir government. So after this abrogation of Article 370, it brought a sense of hope in the people of Ladakh that now our grievances are going to be addressed. But what happened? Exactly opposite happened. So earlier they perceived a distance from the control of the government that at time was located in Srinagar, and this distance actually increased. From Srinagar, the control of Ladakh went to whom? To New Delhi, where the Union Home Ministry is located, who controls every union territory. Right? So because of this lack of legislature, which provides no political representation, and when the erstwhile union territory itself goes directly into the control of central government, this aggravates the concerns of Ladakhi people. Adding to it, you need to understand Ladakh still has 2 hill councils, that is Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council located in Leh and Kargil respectively. But you need to understand these councils are not under 6th schedule areas. So that is why these councils have very limited power. Let me give you an example. What kind of powers do they have? For example, they have right to collect some local taxes like parking fees, etc. And they can also make allotment and designate the use of the land, which is done by the central government. So in this regard, you need to understand these hill councils have a very limited power. But besides that, there are other grievances also. First of all, when the Ladakh was a part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, they had access to the hiring that was done by the Jammu Kashmir's recruitment board. But after that, shortage of jobs ensured. Now you need to understand Ladakh is located very geographically in a very harsh climate. So their possibilities of development and by that virtue, possibilities of employment are very limited. So this problem already existed, and this was aggravated by the bifurcation of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. Similarly, after designation of Union Territory to the region of Jammu and Kashmir, the government, union government, introduced changes in domicile policy, right? So this change in domicile policy, which happened in the neighboring union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, it also brought a sense of fear in the eyes of Ladakhi people that they are very particular about their land, and they thought after changes in domicile policies, people from outside might come, settle, and buy lands, which would erode their control over local resources in Ladakh, which already I've told you are limited. So this is how people got aggrieved, and their aggrieved came out in form of protest. So this is the reason of protest. Now let us understand why Ladakh wants sixth schedule status. Now sixth schedule is a provision given in Article 244 of the Constitution, which provides for formation of autonomous district councils. Now you need to understand these autonomous district councils are constitutional bodies which are provided directly from Article 244 of the Constitution, and these are majorly located in Northeast for governing tribal majority areas. Now, if a particular autonomous district council or autonomous district area, if it has more than one tribes, then you also have a provision to create multiple autonomous regions. Now, who creates these autonomous districts and autonomous regions? It is basically the governor of the state or the union territory. So they have the power, but you need to understand these are majorly provided in northeastern states for northeastern states. Now, a feature of autonomous district councils is that there are total of 10 autonomous district councils in northeast located in the state of Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, as well as Tripura. Now, the composition of these autonomous district councils, they have a combination of directly elected members as well as nominated members. At max, there can be only 4 nominated members who are nominated by the governor. Rest, all of them have to be elected seats, right? But this composition of the combination of elected and nominated member varies accordingly. You need to understand there is one exception to it. All autonomous district councils except Bodoland Territorial Councils have 30 members. On the other hand, Bodoland Territorial Council is an exception which has 46 members. Okay. Now, these ADCs, what do they do or what kind of powers do they have? This is very important. Now, ADCs have a wide range of powers. You can divide them in executive, legislative, financial, as well as judicial powers. To understand what kind of powers do I have, I've curated this slide. You need to understand they have a handful of legislative powers. They can make laws on land use, forest management. They can regulate shifting cultivation. They can make laws on social and regular aspects like inheritance, marriage, divorce. They can even control money lending and trading by non-tribal residents of the autonomous districts. Talking about the executive power, they can manage primary schools and dispensaries, they can establish markets, develop road and transport infrastructure, and decide on the language which will be used for instruction in the primary schools. Talking about the judicial powers, they have the right to create village courts and district council courts, and appeals to these courts will lie not in the lower judiciary but in the higher judiciary. That is, decision passed by any village or district council courts can only be challenged in high courts and supreme courts of the country. So you can understand this gives autonomous district councils a wide range of autonomy. But the most important part is that these district councils even have financial powers. For example, they can prepare district council budget, collect land revenue, levy taxes on trades and professions, and can issue licenses for extractions of minerals in the jurisdiction of autonomous districts. So this financial powers creates what you can call avenues where autonomous district councils can earn revenue, and when any body has the ability to earn revenue, they can discharge autonomy not just in nominal terms but in real terms also. So this is the best part of autonomous district councils. Now what you need to understand that Ladakh primarily is a tribal dominated area, so much so that 90% of Ladakh's population belongs to either one of the scheduled tribes mentioned in the union list. Now there has been consistent demand to include in the region in the sixth schedule. Why? What are the major concerns of tribal communities? Tribal communities have a distinct culture, so they need to preserve their culture. They are very close, or they use land for economic purposes, so they need to control the ownership of the land so that no one coming from the outside into the region can have the ability to buy land. Similarly, they also have political demands that they need to have the right to self-governance, which the sixth schedule actually provides. So this is the reason why people of Ladakh, who are majorly tribals, they want protection under sixth schedule, because sixth schedule protection would fulfill each and every one of their demand. And to demand for this sixth schedule, protests have started to take place right from 2019. For example, multiple pressure groups like Leh Apex Body, Kargil Development Alliance have been formed, which are under negotiations from the government to give themselves the status of sixth schedule. And Sonam Wangchuk entered into this picture back in 2019, where he wrote a letter to then Union Tribal Affairs Minister demanding for higher autonomy for the governance of Ladakh. He said that then BJP government promised in the election that they would provide sixth schedule recognition. So please fulfill your promises and provide Ladakh the sixth schedule. Now things actually went out of hand starting from March 2024. In March 2024, the talks that were going on between Union government represented by the Ministry of Home Affairs in one part and different pressure groups like the Apex Body of Leh as well as Kargil Democratic Alliance, they actually fell down and they fizzled over. So what happened that Wangchuk coupled with many other activists, they started fast unto death. And you'll be surprised to know they survived on water and salt and slept outside in sub-zero temperatures for 21 days. If this did not materialize in 2024 September, they announced that they will conduct a Delhi Chalo Padyatra, and they also give certain agendas to it. So this agenda would be very helpful if you have to understand what people of Ladakh actually want. They want a Ladakh statehood, they want extension of sixth schedule to Ladakh, they want public service commission to be established in Ladakh, as well as separate Lok Sabha seats for two districts, that is Leh and Kargil. So this is what Ladakhi people want. Now, in between this, in last year 2025, Sonam Wangchuk undertook a fast again, which was a hunger strike. Now, during this hunger strike, there was wide range protest, and as I told you, this protest became violent, and to control this violent protest, the government and the administration had to resort to firing, which led to death of 4 people and more than 50 people were injured. And Union government held that it was Mr. Wangchuk who actually instigated these protests, which led to the death of people, and that is why he was detained. Okay, so this is how Sonam Wangchuk entered into a picture. Now let us understand, can Ladakh actually be provided the sixth schedule status? Now, one of the constitutional bodies in India, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, actually in September 2019 recommended for inclusion of Ladakh in sixth schedule. And why they recommended inclusion of Ladakh in sixth schedule, they also gave the reasons. First of all, the Union Territory of Ladakh is predominantly tribal. As I told you, more than 90% of the population is tribal. Similarly, people from other parts of the country have been restricted from purchasing the land there. What does this signify? That you need to protect the land rights and you have to give this land rights to local people so that others people do not settle there and actually erode on the culture that is the feature of Ladakh. Similarly, this distinct cultural heritage needs preservation. So all of this actually can be justified for grant of sixth schedule status. So where the problem is coming in, let us understand this. You need to understand, presently sixth schedule is given only to 4 states in India, which is located in the northeastern part of the country: Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, as well as Mizoram, right? And even in fact, other states of Northeast where there are tribals in large numbers in majority, like Manipur, which has a predominantly tribal population in some places, autonomous councils are there, but they are not included in sixth schedule. So is Nagaland and Arunachal, which has totally tribal population. So even other states in Northeast have not been included in sixth schedule, and that is why extension of this sixth schedule, which is exclusively meant for Northeast, for a region outside Northeast might be difficult. And Ladakh's Ladakh's inclusion on this ground in sixth schedule would prove to be very difficult. For example, 4 states in Northeast, I told you, Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya and Mizoram, only they have been accorded the status of sixth schedule, and all the other areas which are tribal dominated but not falling into these states, they have been given protections again under 5th schedule. Now 5th schedule and 6th schedule are both meant for protections of tribals, but the degree of protection offered are higher in 6th schedule. In 6th schedule, I told you, autonomous district councils have a constitutional recognition, and it also gives the right to self-governance to the tribal people, which is not there in 5th schedule. 5th schedule, there is a tribal advisory council, which is a creation of state legislature, and it only has advisory powers, no self-governance powers. Therefore, theoretically speaking, it might be difficult, but is it impossible? No. Ultimately, putting any area under the 6th schedule is a decision which rests with Union government. And to put Ladakh in 6th schedule, what the Union government would need to do is introduce in the bill in Parliament, which would amend the 6th schedule, that is the Constitution of India. Now, there are multiple problems still why Ladakh maybe, or it is difficult to provide sixth schedule recognition to Ladakh? First is financial viability. I told you Ladakh is located in a region which is geographically isolated and in a very difficult geographical terrain. And because of that virtue, the development of Ladakh is not as has not happened on the expected lines. Now, for any autonomous district council to function, it needs fund, and to enable it to collect funds, they have taxation powers. But if Ladakh's autonomous district councils, if they are provided the recognition and the sixth schedule, if they do not have the adequate opportunities to collect revenue, don't you think they would have to depend on state and union government to fund them? And this would erode their financial autonomy, even if it is provided in letter and spirit in the constitution. Similarly, there is also inter-community dynamics at play. You need to understand there are two districts in the Union Territory of Ladakh, Kargil and Leh. Leh on one hand is majorly having a population belonging to Buddhist religion, and Kargil on the other hand, majority people living there are Muslims. So you need to understand how you would manage these inter-community dynamics in a region which is given a self-governing rights under the sixth schedule. Also, the most important part is basically the national security considerations. Now, Ladakh is a sensitive area very close to Chinese border. So, one of the primary considerations of the union government here is to ensure national security of India, like border security. Now, if Ladakh is given recognition in the sixth schedule, coordination between the union government and the administration of Ladakh might prove to be difficult. So this is why the union government is having inhibitions in providing sixth schedule of the constitution. But we have known from our today's video, the demand of people of Ladakh is complete statehood and recognition in the sixth schedule. There would be no compromise on that. So let's see how this plays out. Let's hope things materializes in a better way so that people of Ladakh are also content and satisfied with whatever governance they are provided by the union government, and I hope they get self-governance. Okay, so what do you feel about this issue? Please do let me know in the comments, and we are going to solve practice questions also which have come in the UPSC exam. Before that, an important announcement. Right now we are starting to take admissions from 26th of March batch, which is going to start in the end of March. To take admissions in this P2I foundation batch, you can go to our website, and if you apply the code ATS Live, you are going to get maximum discounts on all the courses. And these courses are available separately for students looking to appear in 2027 or 2028. So decide accordingly and take admissions as soon as possible, because from 26th of March, the batches would get started. Okay. Now, these are the two questions that have appeared. One is in 2015 UPSC exam. The provisions of 5th and 6th schedule of the constitution are made in order to do what? Please do let me know the correct answer of this question, as well as this question which appeared albeit recently in 2022. If a particular area is brought under 5th schedule of the constitution, which one of the following statement best reflects the consequence of it? Do let me know the correct answers of both of these questions in the comment section. And if you want to download the notes, you can go to this particular Telegram channel called as ATS Live, and do not forget to subscribe to it also. So this is all from my side. Please have a very good day. We'll see each other again tomorrow.